guys, welcome back to my channel and to another episode of Spiritual Sundays. I've got my cup of tea and we're all ready to go. Thank you so much to everybody who has been following along so far. I really appreciate it, and it's so nice that what I've been talking about has resonated with some of you guys. So today's topic of conversation is going to be all about limiting beliefs, what they are, a brief description anyway, and how they can actually hold us back in life. So last night I was out with my family celebrating my dad's birthday. It was really lovely, and I had quite a good chat with one of my cousins who I'm quite close with, and we ended up getting onto the conversation of loneliness and social media, making friends, and I opened up a bit about the fact that I have always really struggled to make friends, and I often have this feeling that people don't like me and that people never really sort of stay in my life for long, like they eventually disappear at some point. And he really felt for me, and he was like, I'm sure that's not true. And I said, yeah, you're probably right, it's probably not entirely true. And I'm also aware that my way of thinking is almost keeping me stuck in that pattern. This really got me thinking about limiting beliefs, because I know that I have a lot of them, and there are probably a lot of other people out there who do as well, which is why I thought it was so important to talk about it today. Limiting beliefs are basically beliefs or thought processes that we think about ourselves, about other people, and even about the world. So it could be a belief that we are a certain person, like I am this or I am not this. It could be about our capabilities, whether we can or can't do something, even about conforming to social norms, like I should do this, I shouldn't do this. And they can really hold us back from achieving the things that we want in life, or even just doing some of the things that we want, and receiving things from other people, particularly if we don't think that we're worthy of something. And they can lead us into quite destructive, negative patterns that continue to repeat themselves in our lives without us even being aware of them and why it's happening. Using one of my beliefs as an example, I struggle to make friends. That could actually be the thing that's preventing me from making friends in the first place, because of my way of thinking, that I think, well, it's hard, it's a struggle, what's the point of even trying? So I might not even bother to get involved in social activities or something that's going to help me to make friends. It also might prevent me from seeing opportunities, or people say there might be people who are reaching out to me and want to be my friend, but because I don't even believe that's possible for myself, like I can't even see it, I can't even let it into my field. So you can see that this thought process can lead to the pattern repeating itself again and again. And of course, every time it happens, every time, say, I get rejected, it then strengthens that belief. Many of these beliefs are formed during childhood, which is why it can be quite difficult to uncover them. I do think that it's a particular type of person or way of thinking that leads that individual to actually forming a belief, because let's say two people take a maths exam and they both fail. One person might say, well, that's it, I can't do maths, so they'll never try again. The other person might look at it and go, well, okay, so I failed that maths exam, but it doesn't mean that I'm not necessarily good at maths. It could have just been that I didn't revise, I wasn't prepared for it, or a whole load of other reasons. So very different ways of thinking, and it's probably mostly to do with our parenting, our upbringing, the type of environment we were in. There could be a whole load of factors that affect that, but that's a whole nother topic for another time. From my personal experience, I would say for me it comes from just having low self-esteem, low self-worth, which is something that I've struggled with from a very young age, but also just from life experiences, things that have happened to us, or things that other people have said to us which we have absorbed, and then they've sort of got trapped into the unconscious mind, so we're not even aware of them anymore, but of course they're playing out in our lives. And that's how we can figure out what our limiting beliefs are. We need to look at our life, and we need to look at things that tend to be repeating themselves, particularly things that we don't really like, negative patterns and cycles. That is the first step, awareness. And I talked a little bit about having awareness about things before, but it's so important. It's so important in overcoming anything really. Awareness and acceptance, and once we can do that, we can actually start to change things. So look at your life, notice things, slow things down a little bit. I find it's quite helpful keeping a diary so that I can keep track of everything that's happening, and of course you can look back through it as well, because it's so easy to just rush through our days like really unconsciously without being aware of most of the stuff that we're even doing. Meditation is something that I practice every day, which helps massively with this. Once you slow things down, things do become a lot clearer, and you can see the patterns that are playing out. At this point, it's important not to judge yourself, just notice it. Then once we have discovered a limiting belief, we have to start sort of knocking it down, finding evidence to support the fact that that belief is not necessarily true. This is not always an easy task, particularly if you've been thinking a certain way for a really long time, like say since childhood. It takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of patience, and as I've said, a lot of awareness. But we have to start disproving the thoughts that are holding up a belief in order to get rid of it or change it for something else. Let me just use an analogy here. Let's say we've got a table with a glass of water on top, and the glass of water represents our limiting belief. If we get something and knock off the legs from the table, the glass of water, i.e. the limiting belief, is going to come crashing down to the ground. So without the thoughts that are supporting that belief, it can no longer exist. This process can take a long time. It can take years. You know, I've been working through some of my beliefs for quite a while now, and a lot of them still exist. It's hard, and particularly when something happens which again supports the belief and therefore strengthens it. I've had to really train myself to start switching my focus to something else, and sometimes that's what it's all about. You know, things are going to happen in our life that we don't particularly like, or that make us feel upset, or I don't know, any kind of way that we don't really want to feel, and that's okay. But we don't have to give them our energy, we don't have to give them our focus. We can focus on something else instead, something that does make us feel good, makes us feel happy about ourselves. But once we have knocked down one of our negative limiting beliefs, or even during the process of doing so, we can start creating a new one, a new way that we would rather feel towards ourselves, or towards other people, or towards the world. So for me, it could be, I find it easy making friends. And in order to actually form that belief, I need to start looking for evidence that supports it. So you're kind of going through the same process of knocking down a belief that you don't want. So to build one that you do want, it's about looking for things that support it rather than things that don't support it. So this was a brief introduction to limiting beliefs, but I hope that it helps you to maybe see your life in a slightly different way. It's also a perfect example of, and you've probably heard this phrase before, how life is happening for us, it's not happening to us. We have to understand that the external world is basically a mirror, and it's showing us things about ourselves. So if we don't like what we see, if we feel like bad things are always happening to us, rather than getting angry at the world, maybe it's time to look within and see what thoughts we have about ourselves that may be causing our life situation. I am more than happy to do further videos on this topic because I feel like there's definitely a lot more to talk about, but I feel like it's quite good doing it in smaller chunks, smaller bite-sized chunks. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you made it to the end, I appreciate you so much. Please do subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications button to see more content from me. And of course, if you have any questions or things you want to say to me, drop them in the comments below or come and say hello to me over on Instagram. I'll see you very soon, guys. Bye.